Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Goaltending, where your why is bigger than your excuses. First and foremost, thank you for tuning in again, allowing me to be a part of your journey. So excited to share this time with you, and we're going to maximize it today. We're going to keep getting into the 5-step process to goaltending, and we're doing a deep dive into step 2. But first, I want to remind you to go like, subscribe, and share today's episode to help us grow so that we can make a bigger impact and reach more people. The goal is to grow. I want to thank you for that in advance. And I want to remind you today's episode is fueled by Prepping with Peppers. So excited to have them as a sponsor. Now let's get into it. The last time I did a solo episode with you all, we talked about step 1, identifying your start and your finish, figuring out where we are now, where we want to be, and everything in between, getting clear on that goal. Today, we're going to get into step 2. So I encourage you, if you haven't checked out step 1 yet, go back, listen to that so that you've got your good starting point, so that you're clear on what your goal is before we get here. But if you've already checked that out, it's time for step 2, and that is identify what you have. So that's knowledge, it's skills, and it's resources. What things do you already have at your disposal that's going to be able to help you in your journey? So we're not to the planning process yet. This is just doing an assessment. So think of the movie, if you've seen the movie Hangover. All right, the guys, they go out to Vegas for a bachelor party. They wake up the next day after the bachelor party and don't remember anything that happened the night before. And they wake up with the room in shambles. There's a tiger in the bathroom, a baby in the closet, and they have no memory of the night before, and they're missing one of their friends. So one of the first things that they do is check their pockets. So that's what we're looking for. I want you to check your pockets. What do you have on you right now that you can use to help you in your journey, that you can use to navigate the path ahead? That's what we're going for. So it's time to look at those. I first want to get into the knowledge piece. So we think about, like, what do we know already? And that comes from 2 different places. We learn in a classroom type of format, in an educational setting where it's not us taking action, but it's learning. It's learning from books. It's learning from others. And then it's taking that knowledge with us so that when we face something, we can recall on that. Now, the thing with that is things don't always happen in life the way they do in the classroom. A lot of times you'll be in a classroom and you'll be sitting next to someone who's experienced what you're talking about in the class before, and they'll say, that's not how we really do it. But it's very good to have that foundational doctrinal knowledge. So think about what kind of education you have. Like what knowledge do you have from that educational standpoint? And then you want to think about, what knowledge do you have from experience? So the things that you've done in life, whether it be work of some kind, whether it be from a sport, whether it be through any kind of activity, whether it be through just running around outside, playing, doing the things that you do, whatever it is, the experiences that you have, you learn from, positively and negatively. You may learn from something that's like, I know not to do that now, or to protect myself, I need to stay away from that. Or it might be, I know this is going to be a way to succeed. I have succeeded before whenever I exhibit these behaviors. So if I continue to exhibit these behaviors, they're going to help in the success of my path. But ultimately, your knowledge is encompassed of those 2 different categories, the things that you learn in the classroom and the things that you learn from experience. Now, the goal is to figure out what those things are and bring them together. Your overall knowledge that you have to bring to the table. Now, once you have your knowledge either written down, it can be like what your degrees are, what things you've learned. It all depends on what your goal is, on which knowledge is going to be relevant to help you in your journey. And then once you have that, Now we're looking at the skills. What skills have you developed throughout your life that are going to help you in your journey? Skills are not something that you're just born with. That's the things that you have become good at through practice. So, for example, to do a podcast, what's a skill that I would have to have? Communication. To be able to do this in addition to a full-time job, what's another skill I would have to have? Time management. Those are just a couple of examples in this specific situation of working a podcast, but those are also good skills to have just in anything that you do in life. So I want you to think about, in relation to your journey, what skills have you already developed in some capacity that are going to help you be successful? And I can tell you, communication skills, that's one that's going to be helpful to you in just about any situation. Time management, that's one that's going to be useful to you in just about any situation. So think about those things, and it's okay if those two are not skills of yours or not skills of yours yet. The goal is to figure out which things are already skills, and later on down the road, we'll look at what do we need to develop. So we're not worried about that right now. We're not looking for the gaps yet. We're looking at what we already have. So look at that based on the goal you're pursuing that you identified in step 1. What are skills that you have that are going to help you on that journey? So think about when you were born, you were not just born naturally able to play a sport really well. Now, maybe you were born with some athletic genes where you do have some athletic traits that you were born that are in your genes. You're just an athletic person. You're strong, you're agile, you're quick. Now, those are all things you could be born with, but to take those and to develop them into a skill requires practice, right? So think about those things that you've done, that you've practiced, that create the skills you have that are going to help you on your journey. Health, fitness, fat loss, sleep, all goals that are impacted by the fuel you put into your body. I've tried meal prepping at home, and I've tried multiple meal prep companies, including those that deliver, but I'll be honest, nothing has been better than the meals I get from Prepping with Peppers. They offer fresh, never frozen meals on a weekly rotating basis, so you don't have to get tired of eating the same meals over and over again. So save yourself some time for the things that matter most by ordering your meals at preppingwithpeppers.com. So now we have our knowledge, we have our skills. Now we need to look at what resources we have available. And that can be a lot of things. This is such a broad category. And once again, it's based on what goal you're pursuing. But one of the number one resources that I want you to think about that's relevant to any situation is relationships. Relationships can help you in any scenario, any situation that you are pursuing a goal toward. Because a relationship can be somebody that you're either able to run your ideas past, that can be a soundboard that can give you feedback, that's somebody that's going to encourage you and not shoot your idea down, but rather give you constructive criticism and encourage you so that you want to continue going after what you're going for. A relationship can also be somebody who's done this before. So it could be a coach, a mentor. It could be just a friend who has knowledge or experience in whatever it is you're pursuing. That's an important relationship because now you can leverage knowledge and skills that they have to help you on your journey. Maybe they already learned a lesson that they can share with you. Maybe they've already made a mistake that by them sharing that with you, they can help you avoid. So that's a crucial piece to relationships. But then on top of that, let's say you're wanting to start a business. Now you need relationships with vendors, like people that you would get supplies for your business, or depending on what kind of business model you have, different people that you would have to work with. but also employees. Now you need relationships there. So relationships can come in so many different facets. But I just want you to think about, based on the goal you're pursuing, what are the key relationships that you have? And so you may think family and friends right off the bat, but I also want to encourage you to recognize that because they're so close to you, there can be cases where that's not the best source for running your ideas past. Because they're so close to it, that it's very possible that they might respond in a meant to be loving and protective way, but not encouraging, or automatically shoot it down or think that it's not something to go for. And it's only because they're so close to you. It's not meant to be a thing that puts you down, but it's often best to try to find a more unbiased source when you're thinking of like, who am I going to run my ideas past? And then once you have that, I want you to think about everything involved with a relationship. Who are the people that you trust? Who are the people that, have those knowledge and skills that you can go to, that you might be able to learn something from? Who are the people that are going to be supportive? What are the relationships that you can leverage to gain access to anywhere that you might not already have knowledge and skills? Let's say you're wanting to get an investment property. An important relationship would be a realtor, maybe connecting with people in whatever neighborhood or area that you're thinking about going to learn about what their experience is like. Maybe it's a mortgage lender if you plan to finance, and learning from them and the best ways to finance and understand that. Maybe you're needing to talk to a CPA to understand the tax implications of making that investment and what that would mean for you. So in that situation, there's a whole bunch of those different important pieces and relationships. So it's very broad, but you can think about each of those three categories in a broad and different angle to be able to really hone in what it is that you have to start with, as long as you're thinking about, is this useful? Is this something that can help me on my journey? So make sure that you go back to step one if you haven't listened to it already, so that you can get clear on your goal, your why, and know what your start and finish are. And now I want you to take the information from today's episode, and I just want you to think about the knowledge, the skills, the resources that you already have in place that are going to be useful for you toward going after that goal. If you haven't already, I want you to go to goalswithwill.com, sign up for a free account so that you can get access to the free 5-step process to goaltending worksheet. Then that worksheet is going to give you the outline, and you can write all of this out. Make it tangible, put it on paper. By having it on paper, it's going to help you to see and to have something that you can physically look at to remind yourself of the goal you're going for and your plan that you're putting in place. I'm going to keep getting into these steps. I'm going to go through step 3, 4, and 5 throughout this year. So I want you all to stay tuned in, but there's also a lot of exciting guest episodes coming up. So I want to make sure that you all are staying tuned in. Please go subscribe on whatever platform you listen on. Just go subscribe and then drop a like on today's episode. I hope it was helpful for you, to give you something to think about in that next step in the process. Step 2 is a brief step, but it's important. It's important to think about those things that you have at your disposal. Later, it's going to help us to identify gaps so that we can figure out what we need to fill in. So go like, subscribe, share it, comment with your thoughts and questions. I want to hear some of those. I want you to join the conversation. That way, we can do some episodes where we talk about the questions you all have. So let me know what you're thinking. Join the conversation and let's grow.